two or three know, now everybody should know. So the one we call Grandpa, Jacob, was born May 4th, which happened to be my brother Dean's birthday also, but he wasn't born in 1875. So I thought that was quite notable, which is pretty interesting that it happens to be that time. And incidentally, it's the 100th anniversary of Uncle Junior's birth. 50 years difference, which is quite interesting. So time concepts are pretty hard to get. I still have trouble grasping, how long ago was that? Well, recently one of my grandsons said that they were studying history. So I asked him, what period of time? And they said, well, recent history, 60s and 70s. I thought, now that's not history, that's yeah. So I kind of thinking about this a couple of weeks ago, and that was July 4th, Independence Day, and we're talking about celebrating the 250th anniversary of this Independence Day next year, which that's not a whole lot longer than 150 years ago, to look at it in some ways. But some people say that age is just a number. And some of us, that's a pretty large number. Just got to run it in here. But he's not the only one. Yeah. See, there's the evidence there. Actually, the way I count, and prove me wrong, but the way I count, there were 38 of us, and now there's still 29 of us is living, which is pretty remarkable. And of those 29, 17 of us have lived more than half of that 150 years. And in other words, we were born before 1950. And there's 5 more of you all that are joining that club next year, born in 1951. So times move along, and so it gives us a lot to talk about, and times like this kind of help us to realize that. But it's a good time to get away a little bit. Congress is once on vacation, their summer vacation, and President Trump has gone over to Scotland, so here we are in South Dakota. So we can get away from all this noise that we keep hearing about all the time. And for some of those that are out of state, the good news is now that Kristi Noem is in Washington, we don't have to be afraid of our dog if we bring it along. And we can come to South Dakota without taking our shoes off. There's some intent in having a little bit of, you may have to ask some of your other South Dakota people or so to explain some of those things a bit. But we know it's kind of nice here also to see the sunshine out here. In Iowa, it seems like it's been raining almost every day. And when it does, it really comes down, like it's raining cats and dogs. The other day, I think I stepped in a poodle. So I was kind of thinking of maybe standing here and trying to make you all laugh with some good jokes. But Fran said that through my whole career, I had people in stitches. So now I'm retired. So we better get on with the reunion. But we are really together to celebrate our heritage as a family. And many times we may feel that we're nothing special, unknown, unnamed, uncelebrated. But I'm very thankful really for the heritage that we have as a Wolbrink family. And we keep to hear more of that. But the family tree, which David worked so hard at kind of putting together, is a really good way to describe a group like this. If we consider what we refer to as the first generation, Grandpa or Grandpa and Grandma, Jacob and Hattie, as the root and trunk of the tree, it really gave us a good start. the stories we tell describe people with initiative, self-discipline, and traditional morality. So really a great foundation, I think. And then the tree grows branches, 10 branches, then is it 95, 90-some branches, and more. Then we get married, and there produces a variety of DNA, which is beneficial for all of us. So we may be wonderfully ordinary, but the world really is different, a better place with a Wolbrink tree sprouting, growing, and branching out. So what an opportunity for stories. And everybody has a story. We're looking forward to hearing the stories from the years past, but I like to hear stories from today as well. So share your stories. That's the top part of the entertainment here today. And we've kind of scheduled some things to try and bring out those various opportunities because some of us are really good storytellers and others are good listeners. But my attention span isn't very long. And some of us like to see things. So we have a what's it? I think the next slide brings that. Oh, this is okay. I got. No, I think we can see this. It doesn't have a lot of color here, so I think we're all right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't forget to just do that. But so yeah, a little bit of the schedule. We'll talk about a little bit of what's in the pins, and then afterwards we'll just talk about introducing each other and a little bit of genealogy, and then Paul and Gideon Screw really has some entertainment that I'm looking forward to there. So that's tonight. The next one shows, I think there's the next slide that shows Saturday, is there? And Saturday there's some key things, but a lot of options too for folks. So I haven't talked about him here yet tonight, but he said that he'd be willing to be around if anybody wants to do a bit of a cemetery walk. And Sarah has worked hard to do a map of the cemetery, and I sent that out. So she talked about having it printed. Maybe it did print some. There's Sarah, but there's at least one copy here. But we work with phones and that type of thing now. So if you don't have a copy, well, you can take a picture of that one, and it's available. And we might talk a little bit about just who might be doing that. Harlan kind of knows, have some idea of how might be around during that time. And then I think what's fun for some of us also is the go to the choir. Jamie is the choir director and does a lot of that. So some of us are going to join at the new church, and the new church is, I am looking forward to see that. That's going to be a major change. That's not the history, that's the new part of it here, but that's really quite a change there. But so I think we will be, some of us will be meeting at the church for a little choir practice about 10 o'clock. And then a chance to I didn't call him Marley, but I think he's been involved in the middle of some of that church there, so he might be around a little bit, kind of show some of the highlights there a bit. But and we're not looking for, there's no auditions for the choir, Jamie said, so anybody who wants to just have a little fun time, and my grandkids will maybe will join us, and just to have a really good fun and sing a couple of traditional songs that Rabbi liked especially there. And then we'll gather here about noon, and the meals that they have prepared here are just pretty special. They've really gone out with that. I'm really looking to that. I have a couple of questions I'll have to maybe a little bit about it, but we'll check on that. And then we've got a little more program plans for the afternoon. We'll review the what's if you can, a little more about some letters from you guys, and then some more fun games that Paul and the crew has. Until it's ice cream time, you gotta have the traditional afternoon ice cream, and then optional things after that. And Fran brought along one of her thoughts that I'm not sure the guys want to hear that, but the ladies are probably enjoy that. So, and then again, the cemetery will be available and so on. We're going to show that before we gather out at the home place for dinner. And I think we'll see what's just, what kids are around. The thing that I'm looking forward to is that Dwayne and the crew have, I think, made it so we can look inside at the house that's there. It's been a long time that I've been in that, and there are a lot of memories that I have, and so it'll be a good time to see not only a little bit like what things, Grandpa was a carpenter, and he built that house. See what building is like, but also memories too of what we have. I think a fun time sharing. So, and all those are, a lot of, basically optional. Come as you wish and enjoy what you can, but just a lot of fun things. And then of course Sunday we have 10:30 service and with the volunteer choir and lunch again available. So I'm looking forward to that. So now the next one should be about the what's that amount to? I belong to the Midwest Tool Collectors Association. One thing that we have fun with is people having items, and what is it? Trying to figure out. But some of them figure out, and some of them nobody there knows. Even there's some people that have really knowledge of various tools. So we've collected 20 things up here, and I thought that'd be a challenge predominantly for, I've said 20 or less, but if the third or fourth generation wants to participate, I'm not going to shut the door on it, but I think it's a challenge for them, but also an opportunity. We'll call it an open book challenge. So an opportunity to, you may not know, but Harlan might know, and if everybody gets one of them, if anybody gets all of them, I'll be a little surprised. Because there are some, anyway, come and check it out. Have a good time with that. And then the pens, also in some ways are kind of special. 3 years ago when we had the reunion, we kind of talked about the option, and Sunday morning, Dwayne showed up and said, here's a board. He was all dressed up at that point, but the board was not all that plain. But I've been able to take that board and then make it into a bunch of pens. And the board is only that big, but it is a board from the old barn. Now exactly when that barn was built, we haven't been able to figure that out unless Dwayne has more recent information. But the pens are marked Wolbrink, and then established 1903. Grandma and Grandma were married in 1903, so that is a date that we know. And it wouldn't be too long after that, probably, that it was made. So it's just, softwood is not Hollywood for making them. And then it's got a little picture of the profile of the barn. My son, Michael, has some other things with his business. It's quite a big little laser setup. So he has put the name and so on with that. Now, unfortunately, we don't have 92 of those. So I didn't know how to distribute them, but I thought, well, maybe the first cousins should have first dibs. So I've got a list here of the first cousins. That's my generation. To take one and check their name off. And then maybe we could set. haven't decided when, but there'll be a few of them that are left. And so I've got a little box here with some cards to put your name on. And if you think you might be interested in it, put your name in that, and then we'll have a drawing for that. And I haven't decided for sure. We might do that at the end of the evening tonight rather than wait tomorrow with that. So, because I want them to all have a home, maybe for people to enjoy it. So, we think we've got some fun things to do. I think the food is ready and then some, and then a lot of us looking pretty hungry back out there. So, we should say grace a little bit before we do that. Fran is going to come up and lead us in a little bit of a song table grace, and then Jamie is going to actually lead us in grace a bit. The one thing, if I have the information, you will get the information out there than I do, but I think Gary is the only one who has died since we last met within the cousins. Which is pretty remarkable in itself. And so there are several, it's pictures of our age who are not able to be here, who really wanted to be here, but with health reasons and so on, including just Aunt Alpha. She's still hanging in here. Yeah, but she was here 3 years ago. So we miss them. So we'll remember. Fran, come on up and lead us in this, and then I can bring the mic over to Jamie here. Or you can come up here. Yeah.
I thought we'd sing the doxology together. Most of us know that. Oh, you want to keep that? No, we're going to do that.
We'll get to turn it back on.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I was afraid that you wouldn't have to lose.
Here they are.
I tell you, he's got it all together. But we'll sing it to the tune of the doxology. Be present at our table, Lord. Be here and everywhere, Lord. These mercies bless and grant that we may strengthen for thy service be. Father of mankind, your Father, dear Lord and Father of families, generations, creator of the world, here we are. Thank you that we have this to gather together, mix and mingle, share our stories, and hear moments from hearts. Thank you that you have made this moment for us. Be with those who cannot be with us. And that we are missing them. We hope that we can find ways to convey some of the fun that we get to experience so that they can feel a part of it. To continue our family values that have been established for us, that we have been using as our examples to go through life. And we may do all of this in your name.
Thank you. Okay, the food is ready, so delay your fruit and give us some instructions. I've already got some really good things prepared, beef and chicken and that type of thing. I got one question for you. Is there any horse meat in any of that?
I'll tell you afterwards. There's a few people that requested chicken tonight. We will have the steaks out on the line. The chicken will be in the kitchen. So if you got chicken, just come into the kitchen and we'll get you that.
Just tell us in line, we'll get it.
So,
Just tell us.
tell us in line. I guess we'll figure that out. Obviously, you don't want steak. What do you want chicken? Talking about years, I believe Grandpa bought the whole place in 1900. So, it's 125 years of that.
Well, how do we sign? Maybe it's better this table go first and work down the line.
Well, good. You bet. You did. It's all in a hurry.
Hi.
Yep.
Joe,
I wasn't just. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, good to see you.
Hello. Things don't look so good. No, they don't. Well, there's a little sand there. Yeah. That's even the area that gets the most rain.
Let's see here. So, we're like down in the little southeast corner of Minnesota.
How is it? Is it good?
And so, be sure that all the guys that's coming, pick up a pen here. One of those find a home that would enjoy those, and the others, grab one of the cousins and go like one, and put your name in the box, and we'll draw out sometime, probably there at lunchtime sometime tomorrow. there. So, we have the informal options in the morning and lunch at noon, fire practice at 10 o'clock at the church. So, enjoy the stories.
Quick story, or not quick story. I got a phone call from David here a month or so ago, and David heard that the rumor in Iowa was that I didn't know a lot about what was going on in the cemetery. Well, that's not totally true. I said, I'm treasurer in the cemetery. So I know all about the treasury. I don't, but if any, he said to maybe be tours and so on, I says, well, I know approximately, I can point you in what direction where, so-and-so was buried. But, Sarah's granddaughter, Catherine, right? Was out here a couple weeks ago, and she put together a list of all the names buried in Harrison Cemetery, and where in the order where they were at. Yeah, I got some long, so I'll be on there tomorrow morning, if you want me tonight. Basically what it does, how many of you have seen that map? If you haven't seen the map, take a look at it. Basically, it starts out in the northeast corner, and it goes around, and then to where Grandma and Grandma's graves were at. So, and they're all numbered, or she has it numbered. She spent a lot of time on that. She gets a lot of credit for doing that. So, I didn't do any of it. But anyhow, I'll be there. I'll hand out the list, and so she gave it to Sarah, and Sarah got it to me, and I made copies of it. So, you want one?
Take pictures of this one.
Yeah, it'll help you. If you haven't seen that picture, take a picture of it, and it'll help you find your way around in the cemetery. But I'll try to be around there in the morning.
And then are you going to have a box there for donations to the treasury?
There is a box on the flagpole. There are permanent boxes around the flagpole.
Okay. Treasury, that's the important part.
If you want to give me a donation for the cemetery, Thanks, Harlan. Speaking of that, there was a basket there for donations to cover the rent of the hall and for the fellowship hall on Sunday. Now, we had a very generous cousin who paid the bill for the hall and the fellowship hall of the church. So, that is taken care of. Donations, anything else you put in, it will all go to the cemetery. So, anyway, good job.
So we have a good generation, some good cousins, and family continues. Well, any more announcements? I'm going to move there. Otherwise,
When are you going to announce about the Lexus?
tomorrow, right after lunch. So I know some of you haven't filled me wrong, I know that. So I'm ready to do that, yeah.
Some people ask you whether they can write on that family tree. By all means, write on there. If you find something that should be corrected, and especially if you have additional people, spouses and new marriages, new kids, whatever, write on there. There's, I think there's 600 names on there now. That would be descendants and spouses, but there's some missing. So fill it in. Thanks.
Rose, we haven't talked now, but we talked earlier about maybe having some things for the kids, you want to say things?
it, or anybody who wants to. And we can talk about it before dinner tomorrow.
Okay, good, another good challenge, that sounds good. Okay, she's good class, I know that'll be fun. Okay. Okay, what else? Otherwise, we'll see if there are options tomorrow. Yeah, I'm not gonna draw those, if that's a simple, we get those now, and then we'll draw those later, so I want all the professors to have a different handout.